Hey everybody, it's your buddy's pal Anthony. Today we're continuing our journey through the current run of Nightwing. We're going to be covering Nightwing issues 98 through 104. If you're not caught up with us to this point, be sure to go back, watch my other video where I cover the first chunk of the run, Nightwing number 78 through 97. Spoilers after the intro. Steve, hit it please. Okay, so Nightwing 98, we start off really with the last panel from Nightwing 97, in which we see Rick Grayson, shaved head and bullet wound and all, bullet wound conspicuously looking like Nightwing's emblem, sticking his head out of a taxi cab and telling Nightwing that he has to come with him. This is a head-scratching moment, because before I read Nightwing 98, I was just like, oh no, what are we doing here? Are we going to be doing a clone saga? Are we diving into the multiverse or anything crazy like that? I was really enjoying this book, and I was very, very apprehensive before I picked up this issue. But thankfully, it's none of that. It's actually going back to something that we had in the earlier Batman books. It turns out Nightwing has developed his own fifth-dimensional imp called Nightmite, and he was actually just, as fifth-dimensional imps do, emulating his hero and trying to make him more at ease. It turns out Nightmite decided to come around because there's this little girl named Olivia, and she's in danger because, as we'll come to find out, Olivia is actually the daughter of Blockbuster and also Jezebel Jet, who you'll remember from the Grant Morrison run of Batman. And this girl is in danger because it turns out that Blockbuster sold her soul to the devil, and now that Blockbuster is dead, demons are coming to collect. So Nightmite can't get directly involved in this battle because he says a war between the underworld and the fifth dimension wouldn't end well for anybody, but he still wants to help Olivia, so that's why he enlists Nightwing. He gives Nightwing some help in the form of magically powered Eskrima sticks if Nightwing says a certain code phrase, and he also gets Haley to help out. She's in her full-on Bitewing persona, and she's able to speak rudimentarily to Nightwing, which is kind of cool to see. I don't know. I like that they've included the dog this much on this run. Nightwing and Haley are off on the hunt. They find Olivia being held by a couple of demons. Nightwing is forced to use the code phrase to activate his newly powered-up Eskrima sticks. That code phrase makes him very uncomfortable to say. It's Nightwing is awesome. But he powers them up. They fight off the demons. And Olivia, turns out, has some power of her own because we see her backhand the demon right out of a building. And there you have it. Olivia is sent off with Raven for safekeeping. Nightwing has a nice little nice to meet you, come around any time but not too often moment with Nightmite, and that's the end of the issue. Back in Nightwing 99, we're dealing with more of the street level stuff that we've been dealing with this entire run. It's still the continuing efforts to clean up Bloodhaven. It's Tony Zuko's come back again. He's trying to get his daughter, the mayor of Bloodhaven, to, help him out. Things like that. She's not having it. She talks to Nightwing, lets him know that her father's back. Next, we find Zuko as well as the acrobatic thief team known as Double Dare infiltrating something called a hold, where it seems like people, villains, and possibly heroes give items to be stored, and it's their duty to hold these items. Zuko's there. He wants the Eye of Kahndaq, looks like a diamond. Turns out that Vincent Maroney put it there, and since he's out of the picture now, Zuko wants it. The keeper of the hold, he won't give it up. We proceed to have another really good set piece, or action piece, I should say, where Nightwing and the Double Dare thieves are just flipping and jumping all over the place. Like I said, I really love how they show Nightwing in motion in this series. Zuko's on the run. He has the diamond. He's trying to get away. Nightwing gets him, of course, but all of a sudden these pirates show up, or mercenaries on a boat, and they actually want Zuko because apparently they're like the enforcers of the hold, and they're not going to let this stand, that sort of shit. But the keeper of the hold, he steps in and he says, let Nightwing have him, it's okay. And he also manages to set up something that we'll see again later on. He says to Nightwing, 538, and he's like, what's that? And he says, I'm holding something for you there, number 538, when you're ready, come see me. Cut to Bloodhaven Private Prison. Melinda Zuko goes to visit Tony. She lets him know that, I'm Not Your Daughter anymore. She's gotten Gotham PD to reopen the case into the murder of Mary and John Grayson, and she even had her name changed. So she's not Melinda Zuko anymore. She's Melinda Grayson Lynn, and she's excited at the idea that the Zuko name is just going to fade into nothing. We close issue 99 with Melinda and Nightwing having a conversation. This brings us to Nightwing number 100, the Centennial issue. We have Nightwing and Batman in uniform in broad daylight at Alfred's grave. Not a fan of that. I can understand if it's at night. Even then, you're on the Wayne Manor grounds. You're standing in full uniform. I understand it's Wayne Manor. They have, I'm sure they have technology blockers for cameras, all this other shit. But I don't know. I think it's a mistake to have them in uniform at Alfred's grave. I think they should have just been, in their civilian identities, standing at the grave. But whatever. They're having a conversation, and this issue takes place after the Dark Crisis miniseries event, which I read, giving me a headache. It's multiversal stuff, and long story short, pre-Crisis on Infinite Earths, multiverse is back, so now there is an Infinite Earths again in the DC universe, although it seems like there's a 52 Earth core. I don't really get it. And also, I thought it was going to be more epic, but in the Dark Crisis event, they kind of set up Nightwing as like the hero of the DC universe, because they make it seem like he beat back the darkness, this evil entity that is ancient and old and all this other shit. But again, I read it and I just was like, But just know, after the Dark Crisis event, they're setting up Nightwing as the guy for the DC universe moving forward, which is great because I like Nightwing and I'm happy he's going to be getting his due. Back to issue 100. Heartless is back. He orchestrates a breakout at the Bloodhaven private prison. Zuko gets out. KG Beast gets out. All these people. Nightwing goes there. He calls in the Titans. They mop up things with relative ease. But again, like I said, Heartless and Zuko have escaped. They don't find this out till later. We have another throwdown between Nightwing and KG Beast, which at this point is just kind of getting repetitive because he beats him more or less easily. Really no other way to put it. Like, if they're going to set up KG Beast as one of his recurring big bad guys, they need to actually make him more dangerous again, because he's just handling him way too easily, I feel. Towards the end of the riot, Superman and Wonder Woman appear. They want to have a talk with Nightwing. They take Nightwing to the Hall of Justice, what's left of it anyway, because it got destroyed in Dark Crisis. Nightwing thinks that Wonder Woman and Superman want him to join the Justice League, but they say no. We have something else they want you to lead, because they're going to be rethinking the Justice League for a while, and they need to know that Earth is in good hands, and they can't think of anybody better than Nightwing. So Nightwing is being asked by two of the Trinity to step up and take care of the world until they can figure out how the Justice League should come back, if it should come back. I'm sure it's going to come back. But again, we're propelling Nightwing to center stage, front and center of the DC universe, and I'm okay with that. And it's kind of a passing of the torch, even though these characters aren't going anywhere. But I'm excited to see maybe them stick to their own stuff for a little while and let Nightwing have his day. We end the issue back at Alfred's grave. Nightwing agrees that he will do this, but he says, I'm going to need help. We end with Barbara, Dick, Melinda, and Haley staring at the private prison. He asks them if they'll change the world, and they're going to do this by taking down the prison, and we see the last panel of the issue. Nightwing is doing a press conference, and he's announcing that it's time for the Titans, and they're going to be setting up in Bloodhaven. The site of the old prison is going to be where the new Titans Tower is built, and that's issue 100. And now we have issues 101 through 104, and this brings us back to dealing with the whole Olivia and her soul being wanted by Naran and other agents of the underworld. It's a really fun run. You got to take a grain of salt if this isn't your sort of thing. It's definitely not the street level stuff we've been seeing him deal with, and it actually doesn't really involve Bloodhaven at all. It's all about this girl and the underworld, and the Teen Titans are in it. So if you like Nightwing as a more grounded street level hero, skip this set because this isn't for you. Whereas I prefer the street level stuff. I think they handled this pretty well. And we find out that Naran is the one who holds the contract. And, now he's going after it because he can't let it look like these heroes and this little girl have beaten him, because obviously in hell, appearances are everything. And if these people can defeat him, then his status is in jeopardy, and he's going to be having a lot of challengers to his position. And this one was really fun. Again, it's cool to see Nightwing interacting with the Titans. You get to see him handle this issue differently than I feel like Batman would handle it. You know, Batman would be probably rushing to throw himself on the sacrificial altar. He'd sell his soul or something like that. Whereas Nightwing, there is action to it because there's agents that have been sent after the little girl again. So there's action in this couple of issues, but ultimately Nightwing uses his wits to defeat Naran. But before we get to that, it's actually really cool because Nightwing is tempted by Naran, who in issue 103 gives him superpowers for 24 hours. That's if everybody saw on Instagram Nightwing with like a bright yellow emblem on his chest and he has superpowers all of a sudden. That was Naran trying to tempt him to say, hey, listen, you know, let me have this girl, one soul, one little kid's soul. What does it matter? I'll give you these powers, no strings attached. You can be as fast as the Flash, as strong as Superman, all this other stuff. What could you do with power like that? So that issue is really cool to just see Nightwing using that power because there's no way in hell he's, no pun intended, there's no way in hell he was going to accept the deal, but he was hanging out with Superman, the Flash, others who have these powers all the time, and they put it to use in the time period that he has. But ultimately, of course, Nightwing rejects the powers, and he figures out a clever way to save Olivia's soul. In issue 103, Nightwing and some of the Titans actually infiltrate Hell, and apparently Hell is paperwork upon paperwork upon paperwork. They find the contract for Olivia's soul. Nightwing actually uses legal trickery. Instead of throwing himself on the altar to be sacrificed, he uses a legal maneuver and becomes Olivia's temporary guardian, and then he confronts Naran with brass tacks. He says, well, I'm her guardian. I didn't sign this, therefore you have no claim. And this is when Naran gives him the powers for 24 hours. Once the 24 hours are up, Naran confronts Nightwing, who has one last little bit of magical charge left in his sticks. He uses the phrase, Nightwing is awesome, and he's able to attack Naran and send him back to the underworld. After this, we cut to Themyscira. Olivia is going to be staying there to be trained to use her powers to defend herself, ultimately to become a hero. She's even picked out a superhero name, which I really hope she doesn't stick with. Nightwing he defeated Naran in the moment, but he didn't kill him, he didn't imprison him, he didn't do anything like that, so there is the possibility that this could have just gone on and on and on, but thankfully it's not the case for the time being anyway, because Raven goes to Hell. She says, I've lived with the threat of a demonic father figure my whole life. That won't happen with Olivia. And even though she says, I don't want Hell, I'm taking it from you, she does something to Naran. He's left on the floor. And then Raven turns to another demon known as Blaze and says that he's all yours. And that's that. She also sends something to Raven about a part of her being missing. And that's going to be dealt with in the New Titans book, which I guess maybe I can cover. And that's Nightwing issues 98 through 104. Again, the artwork is really good throughout this whole thing. I love how they show him moving. I enjoy the fact that he's using his friends. I was about to say his rogues gallery, but I enjoy the fact that he's using his friends, his allies. It's refreshing to see it, and it's refreshing to see it done well, I feel like. That'll do it for me. Next up, we're going to be talking Batman the Gotham War, and then after that, we're going to come back and see what Nightwing's been getting up to. I am Anthony the Rambling Nerd. Find me on Instagram under the same name. I am part of the Nerd Affiliated Foundation. You too can join for just $1 a month. Support us, keeps the lights on, keeps us in coffee and alcohol on Thursdays. We have sweet merch. It's the holiday season. Pick up something for yourself, for your loved ones. Show them you care by giving them some of the best nerd merch there is out there. I'll talk to all you guys in the next one. Steve, play me out of here, please.